Hi, everybody. This is day 2 of week 1 under the title Seen for our Lenten reflections. And I want to read from Mark 10, starting at verse 46. And they came to Jericho. And as he was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, Bardeameus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. And when he heard it was Jesus, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And many rebuked him. Why? Because at that time in history, if you were blind, it was presumed that it was either your sin or the sin of your parents. So you were very much disdained and discarded. "Son of David, have mercy on me." And many rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus stopped and said, "Call him." And they called the blind man, saying, "Take heart, rise, he's calling you." And he threw off his cloak and sprang up and came to Jesus. And Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And the blind man said, "I want to see." And Jesus said, "Go your way. Your faith has made you well." And in our first reflection this week, we talked about being seen, that God sees us, that he's not turned away by anything in us. He made us. He loves us. This part of our journey, I want to look at what we want to see. What do I see? What's my common thread that I tell myself? What's my history? What's my patterns? But what do I want to see? And I imagine if you're watching this, you want to see and experience and encounter the love of God that changes you. And you may have had a difficult past, you may have had a loving past, but life tends to beat us up, and we develop ways of thinking that are not necessarily ways that help us. A lot of times they harm the way we think about how God thinks about us. Here's a couple of things about Bardeameus. He knew what everybody thought about him. He knew he was disdained, but he wouldn't stop calling out. He wouldn't quit. He believed that Jesus was good. It wasn't about his good. Maybe it was his sin. Maybe it was his parents' sin, but it wasn't about him. It was about Jesus's goodness, Jesus's holiness, Jesus's faithfulness, and Jesus's desire to free and heal. So he kept calling. He kept calling. And he was blind. He probably felt like he had nothing to lose. And everybody was shushing him, telling him to be quiet. And then when Jesus turned and said, "Call him up here," all of a sudden, everybody wanted to be Bartimaeus' friend to help him get up to Jesus, because Jesus was the one sought after. And when he said, "What do you want me to do for you?" He didn't say, "Well, I'm a nothing, and you don't want to do anything, like I'm not worthy." It had nothing to do with that. He said, "I want to see." And Jesus was thrilled with his faith. And he said, your faith has healed you. Go. Now, in real life, that put a lot of pressure on Bartimaeus, because when you're a blind beggar, what you do is you know how to beg. When you can see, all of a sudden you're not a blind beggar anymore and you don't have employment. So it did change a lot for him that he was going to have to deal with, but he wanted to see and he was willing to fight for it. And I'm going to say, as we come into the end of this first week in Lent, do we want to see differently? Or do we want to do the same thing we've done year after year after year and give up chocolate and give up wine and give up Starbucks and whatever? Or say an extra rosary, all those things, wonderful. But we can do all those things and never see the power of God's love to move in us, to change us, to heal us, to free us of stinking thinking, of ways that we think that do not line with what the Word says about how God feels about us. He calls us chosen. He calls us beloved. He calls us friend. He calls us children. I remember There was a time years ago, I had little children and I was visiting a friend out of town and she got me a massage and I was so excited, but I was so exhausted. And I laid on the table and I began to doze. And all of a sudden, I don't know what woke me up, but I woke up and it was Jesus rubbing on my leg and I, I couldn't even breathe. And he put his head back and started laughing and he said, I'm going to rub my love into you until you get it. And then it was gone. But I was so wrecked in every way good by that experience because I was at a point where I was so tired that all kinds of stuff was going around in my head. I'm a failure. I'm not doing this right or that right or whatever, where we all can go. And he made it clear with a big grin. I'm going to rub my love into you till you get it. And I want you to say, Jesus, I want to see, and I want you to rub your love into me until I get it. And I want you to wipe away all the stinking thinking. And I want to know when you look at me, what do you see? What do you see? Because, the Lord does not love us when we change. He loves us so that we can change. And that love is what we're going for this Lent. Because if we understand that when the Lord sees us, he lights up. He's passionate about us. It's not about our goodness, our perfection, our holiness. It's always about his. It should make us fall to our knees and weep. But the other voices are so loud. I want us to say like Bardeameus, I will not quit. I will keep saying, Jesus, Jesus, have mercy on me. Jesus, I want to see. And then I want you to do what he did. He stood up and he threw off his cloak and he ran to Jesus. So at the end of this first week of Lent, when we focus on how Jesus sees us, remember Isaiah 43, verse 1 and verse 4. Remember the hemorrhaging woman. Remember Zacchaeus, called by name, not by his sin and his reputation. Remember blind Bardeameus. Your faith has healed you. You can have that gift of sight. Say, Jesus, I won't stop. I want to be in this sacred space with you this Lent. And I want to see. And I'm going to have the courage to say, Jesus, when you look at me, what do you see? And I promise you, if you are truly hearing from the Lord, you will be weeping with his love for you and the things he sees and the way he calls you by name and the way he calls you daughter and brings you back into his heart and the way he calls you son and brings you back into his embrace. This is our God. This is our God. And this Lent, let's go to that place where we say, Lord of the universe, you see me. You know me. You love me. And you have me. So take 5 or 10 minutes a day. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and say, Lord Jesus, when you look at me, what do you see? Give him time to respond. And then say, you see me, you love me, you know me, and you have me. God bless you.